The very first thing new parents buy to carry their bundle of joy home is a car seat. You may not realize that Tennessee was the first state in the country to mandate child safety seats. That was in 1978. Well, now, nearly 40 years later, a Tennessean is poised to revolutionize the child restraint industry. He's a DeKalb County small businessman and farmer who's dedicated the better part of his life to designing the proverbial better mousetrap. And he won't rest until his idea gets a chance. Pete Love still lives near the land he grew up on, close to his son and grandkids, and some well-fed cows that are more pet than porterhouse. In a way, this story begins with cows and Pete's idea for a better way to corral and transport them.
I used to be a dealer in livestock. I traded cattle and shipped them from one state to another one. I noticed most of the stock racks around then was wooden, and all the metal ones didn't look too good and they rattled.
Pete got rid of the rattle, made a better, quieter stock rack. It caught on, eventually becoming a solid business. Then it was on to the next bright idea. Neighbors probably thought he was crazy when they first saw what was going on in these pastures.
So start out driving into a tree.
Yes, ramming his old truck into a tree on purpose.
So I thought about hydraulics. That's what got me started in hydraulics.
After tinkering in his welding shop, Pete next installed a metal track on a hillside and kept rolling.
Then I first done a test on a crash cart coming off the hill.
The aim was a better child safety seat, one that would minimize injury, the most deadly kind of injury to kids, when the underdeveloped head and neck are catapulted forward.
When the crash hits and then he reaches the end of the seat belts, that's the end of the safety features of the child safety seats that's on the market today. All that force goes to his oversized, undeveloped head and neck.
Pete's idea was deceptively simple: to spread or disperse the impact over distance when the moving car collides with something else. But how?
The idea is the most important thing, but making it work is the hardest.
He built his own child-sized dummy to exact national safety specs, stuffed it with cattle feed and wrapped it in duct tape. Then into the shop for more testing and fine-tuning. These long bolts were the low-tech way to determine what was working. A bent one meant too much direct impact from the simulated crash. Eventually, with the final impact dispersal system, the bolts were coming out straight as an arrow. 5 years and thousands of dollars in, Pete was ready to put his invention up against the safety seats we all rely on, the kind you've got in your minivan right now. At a leading lab where a low score of 1,000 can send a product to market,
our last test up there was 265. Said that was the lowest test that they ever had on a forward-facing child safety seat.
And that's not all. The Love Seat has an extra feature to protect inside impact crashes. A set of knobs that anchor the seat tighter than any other, nearly stopping all side-to-side movement. Here's the kind you have. Here's the one he's designed. By now you're probably thinking, where can I buy one? Why haven't I seen one? Pete's got a patent and proof of his concept. But maybe, just maybe, it's too much better than what we're mass producing now. Only one manufacturer would even look at the data and designs he sent in. They told him they'd be in touch in 6 to 8 weeks.
That's been over a year. I hadn't heard from them. You've got something, it's the biggest killer of children. If it's a disease, it'd be an outcry for a cure. Okay, we're killing them in cars.
And Pete Love knows something about that, something he hasn't been able to shake in 72 years. It's what drives him, despite the disappointment.
We stayed in the same room. I was 10, he was 17. He was a football star. We had single beds. And he was a big UT fan. He had UT stuff up over his bed. And of course, I wasn't into it. I was in some other stuff. But he put Vanderbilt over my bed. One night, he was there. The next night, he was gone. He passed away.
You'd like to think that Logan Love knows what his little brother has been up to all these years. And maybe this is the year it will all pay off.
I told him I couldn't do nothing for him, but I could for kids. And that's one reason I stuck with it.
Now, to be clear, that seat you saw in our story is a prototype. The retail version would look no different than any other seat on the market. And if you're wondering about cost, Pete says his impact dispersal seat would cost at most $100 more to produce. He's got a website. If you want more information, we will put a link to it on ours, WSMV.com.